Riverwalk anime. So I'm a nerd. So basically what it is, I'm just a big nerd. But nevertheless, yeah, I'm also a horror fan. We'll get to some horror questions with Mira as well. But before I bring her out, I mean, you gotta let her know you want her out here, right? All right, so let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yeah!
Mira Sorvino. Come on, help me do that. Have a seat. All right. Welcome to San Antonio.
So excited to be here.
I'm glad you're right here. You were the first panel guest at the first ever Big TerrorCon.
Oh wow! I didn't know this is.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't even
No
know
pressure,
this
right?
was a new con. Okay.
There's a lot of fans that are eager for the horror genre in San Antonio. So the organizers said, why not? Let's put something together. Let's invite you. Let's put you up #1.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
By the way, before you came up, I talked to a lot of the guests here. They're very excited to talk with you. Yes, I'll keep my stuff short, okay, guys? I know you guys want to talk to her, not hear me talk to her. But again, your first time in San Antonio?
No, I've been here before over the years. The first time I was here, I was literally traveling across the country with this organization called Streetside Stories, where two brothers were bicycling across the country, and I and my then boyfriend were driving my mother's old Woody station wagon, carrying all the gear, and we'd go to schools across the country and spend a week in each school with middle schoolers, trying to get them interested in reading and writing instead of playing like video games. And you know, now it would be looking at their phones, but at that time it was, you know, just. And we found the kids were so smart. Every kid was so creative, even no matter what like track they had been put in by the system. You know, there was a slow learners track, wrote some of the most beautiful poetry. But we were in San Antonio, and it was just a wonderful place to pass through. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you stepped outside? It's a little warm.
It's a little warm. Yeah, I'm almost overdrive. Yeah. I'm in what my daughter calls my Santa blazer. So that might be the wrong season.
Yeah.
But it is air conditioned in the car.
It is a little warm outside, yeah. But nevertheless, again, welcome to San Antonio.
Thank you.
Have you sampled the food yet?
No. I literally got in at 2 a.m. last night, so I'm a little bit like.
Well, no wonder we had the extra large coffee on you then.
Yes. I had to stop for coffee. I'm sorry.
Not a problem. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get some questions. You'll get your chance in a few seconds. All right, everybody? They're eager. Sir, trust me, they're eager.
Okay.
They're like, how many questions can we ask? Where's that one? Some people wanted to sit up here with you. Seriously, they wanted to sit up here.
I think you're making this up. That's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate making me feel good.
Let's sit here. All right, well, you know, talk about the genre of horror. You know, what is it about it? Why do you think it draws attention? Why is it such a big fan thing to celebrate?
You know, I'm not entirely sure. As a child, I was terrified of horror movies. Like my friend Holly Myers took me to see Scanners by David Cronenberg when I was 12, and I had not been allowed to watch any rated R movies with my family, so I came in a little bit unaware of what was about to unfold.
Yeah.
And you know, when all of a sudden they start having these like battles and their like arms start like spinning, and then all of a sudden the big bald head explodes, like that was. Yeah. I could not go to sleep for 3 months afterwards without seeing that head exploding. So, you know, I sort of came later to appreciate the genre, I think, and part of that was maybe I dated Quentin Tarantino for 3 years, and he really, you know, showed me some great classic genre movies, and I did Mimic with Guillermo, and I loved doing that with him, and he allowed me to be very, very collaborative. Those of you who've seen the movie, like there's a moment in the movie where I put up my hand and I have a sort of stigmata type of thing to distract the creature, and that was my idea, and he let me play with it. So that was really cool.
That's so cool, yeah. Well, how much you get to, you know, do that with directors, you know?
It all depends. It depends on the director. Like Whit Stillman, the director of Barcelona, not a horror movie, it's a comedy, but you had no latitude of any kind. You had to say every single syllable, every single written word. You had to pause for the commas. Like it was all, you know, preordained and set in stone. And then there's other people who like really welcome your improv. Like Romy and Michelle had a ton of ad-libbing and improv. A lot of my comedies have more improv. And then, you know, recently I did Shining Vale. How many of you have seen Shining Vale? Okay, just a few of you. Oh my God, it's a comedy horror.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's starring Courtney Cox, one of the biggest television stars ever, and Greg Kinnear and myself and Judith Light and just Gus Birdie. Amazing, amazing people. And it is a love letter to a ton of horror movies. And the first season is an homage to The Shining.
Oh, nice.
Shining Vale. She plays a writer who goes to a big rambling mansion that may or may not have been a home for hysterical women in the 19th century. She's got writer's block and she's trying to cure it. And I am the ghost in the attic who's basically the bartender. Well, I'm in the attic, I'm in the basement. And I'm basically the bartender in the basement from The Shining, except I'm a 50s housewife and I'm making her cocktails at the tiki bar. And I seem really innocuous, but I'm not. I'm like sort of trapped and I want to live through her. And it's very, very funny. And every episode, there's little Easter eggs to other horror movies. And then season 2 is an homage to Rosemary's Baby. Nice. And we literally follow the plot of Rosemary's Baby. I mean, and I played 3 characters in season 2, and it was such an acting triathlon. It was so much fun. So if you guys love horror, you've got to see Shining Vale. It's on Max right now. You could also watch it on Apple or Prime, but you'd have to pay for it. But if you have Max, it's on there now.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, go check it out. Shining Vale, everybody. So you mentioned you played pretty much a ghost in Shining Vale, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ghost. Yeah, season 1, right?
Yeah, ghost, demon. Yeah.
How do you get into a character like that? Like a ghost, like a demon, or somebody who has stigmata, How does that process work?
Well, the stigmata thing is she actually just does it to herself to try and save Chewie, the boy. Because she's just, how do I distract this creature from eating this child? And if I give him the scent of blood, he'll come after me instead. Yeah. So you're just desperate. And I found it mimic. The hardest thing for me to do was maintain an acceptable level of fear throughout the film, because in real life, fear is an ephemeral emotion. Like, you find out what's behind the door. You hear a noise and then it goes away, or you take action and that starts to subdue your terror. There are very few moments in life where you're afraid for 2 hours straight, and except these protagonists, The Last Girl and all these movies, right? So I had to just keep giving myself things in my mind to be frightened up to, giving myself stakes so that each scene would matter, But for Ghost, I mean, she's just this fabulous person who is really the alter ego of the real person who died, who was a suppressed housewife who was really unhappy. Her husband was very abusive. He was cheating on her. He was physically and verbally abusive to her. And she just dreams of having a different life. So Rosemary, the ghost version of her, she's all that. She's all the things that Rosemary in life wanted to be but couldn't be. And she dreams of being sort of like a silver screen heroine. And she speaks darling, yes, and she's very grand and lovely, but inside also she's got a lot of rage. So it's very interesting. So I just tried to create, this person that the real person wanted to be. And sometimes we see the real person and somebody who was milk-fed these concepts of what the good life was from 50s movies. So she's kind of trying to be that perfect 50s housewife and talking about going to Paris and, but meanwhile, it's all this trauma underneath. So it was a really interesting role to play. And then season 2, I basically played an homage to the Ruth Gordon character in Rosemary's Baby, although she's not 80. And I was like, I'm not playing 80, I'm sorry, not doing it. But her name is Ruth, and she's like Brooklyn Jewish, sort of doula woman, very earth mama, hippie, grows all these, she calls them herbs, in her house. But some of them turn out to be quite diabolical, and she's a member of a local coven, and it's all crazy. And then still Rosemary's there, and then there's also this 19th century investigative journalist named Nellie, who's Welsh, which was the hardest accent I've ever done, and